Hey, John Kavakis here with another edition of My Take. I got another interview for you here. It's been a while since we've sat down and had a chat with Simon Elford of Brooklin and gotten an update from him. Well, he took some time out of a very busy day to tell us what's been going on. It's pretty exciting news. Let's see what Simon has to say. Well, hello, Simon. It's been a while since we've spoken. How are you doing?
Hi, John. Yeah, not so bad. Thanks. Yeah, good to see you again. It's been well, it's been more than a few months, I think, isn't it?
I know you've been busy. It looks to me like the models are flowing again. You excited about that?
Yeah, no, I think everybody's excited again to finally get some production going again. I mean, it's probably been a good couple of years since we've had some proper solid production coming out. With all the changes that have been going on, which has been a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, no, we've just got the Caribbeans are coming out, as people have seen. I think we're going to have to make a few more Caribbeans as well to keep up with demand. It's probably been the best. It's been the best selling model that we've done for quite some time. It's the only model we've done for quite some time. It's also been one of the best selling ones for a while. So we haven't had a model sell like this for quite a few years now, so which is pleasing, which is good.
It does look magnificent. I'm looking forward to getting my own. We'll talk a little bit more about the Caribbean a little later. But while I got you on the line, I know that this has been a challenging year. 2023 was a challenging year.
Yeah,
Can you kind of walk us through some of the things that happened?
yeah. So obviously, people would have seen the video we did last year when we got into the new factory in Portland from our place in Bath, and we just got settled down into there. The UK is going through a bit of a rocky patch business wise at the moment, and business really just wasn't there. I mean, we were just sales were nowhere near what they were, and we're part of a foundation in Brooklyn. So as a group, that's what helps keep Brooklyn going is the foundation that's run from Italy, and we were just still losing quite a lot of money through that, and the sales just weren't there for the minute. And they've got other companies within the foundation. Some of them are having similar issues, so they've had to take some quite drastic action, not just with us but with other companies. And it's decided we had to close the factory in Portland. So I mean, that's lost a lot of staff. It meant the staff, who'd put a lot of work and effort into that, had to go. And we were just left with Darren and Neil. I wasn't sure how it was going to proceed. I think a lot of collectors have wondered what's going on. It was a bit of, well, what are we going to do now? Darren and Neil, we worked through clearing the old factory out, and luckily in that period, I managed to find a workshop not far from there in a place called Colford. It's a little workshop, but it's big enough for Darren and Neil. We've got all the casting facilities there. We've got Darren's got his own place for doing the patterns and little storage areas. They can do a little bit of basic spraying there, and it was just kind of perfect. And it was, fitted our criteria perfectly, which was very lucky because there's not much like that around. And it really meant the last year we spent, after the year before moving, we spent most of last year clearing out Portland again, and then starting to set up the new place. And setting up the new factory the new workshop, really not factory, workshop, was even more challenging because we are just trying to work out how it's going to happen. And we didn't really get that sorted till October time, I suppose, to get it all working properly and all wired in. So from that point onwards, they've been starting to produce models, and that's what we're starting to see now, as those early models starting to come out.
So what we have experienced, from the consumer end, what we've seen out of Brooklyn for really the last 2 years or so has been a time of transition. Would you describe it the same way?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously we went from the big factory in Bath, which they've been in for 40 years. So I mean, that was quite a tiring thing to do, and I think a lot of staff were very sad to see that go. But we were left with a nice core staff, and then to get to that stage to Portland and then have to do it all again was a bit galling again. But it just had to be done to save what we had. That was what had to be done, and it's left us now. You've got to remember that SMTS is also part of the same group. So SMTS and Brooklyn are all part of the same company. Mm. And we were at risk of losing it all. We were at risk of losing the whole lot. So some drastic action had to take place. and hopefully now that's put us back onto a more even keel. It's been tough, and the last couple of months has been particularly tough because business is still pretty tight over here. Retail wise is very quiet, but luckily with SMTS, although our retail side is very flat still, we've always dealt with commercial customers, and commercial and other areas like planes and construction are buoyant at the moment, which is good. So we've managed to go into those areas, and Brooklyn, the way it's set up now, means that they should be making a small profit by the end of the year.
Well, that's good news.
Making even, because the costs, obviously, now got 2 staff, the costs are really low, and with the schedule we got planned, the new releases, we should be much better position.
Well, that's pretty exciting. I know, and I had the privilege of being able to talk with you frequently during all these transitions, and I know that a lot of decisions weighed pretty heavily upon you, pretty heavily upon Mr. B. That everybody took it very seriously, but it was a matter of survival. And I'm also aware of the fact that there are elements that are beyond your control that are adding to this. Things like shipping.
That has been, sorry, the shipping into Europe has been an absolute nightmare since Brexit, and not just Brexit, with the pandemic as well. Shipping went through a real bad period during the pandemic, and it's just never quite recovered, and it's killing us right now. Shipping into America isn't too bad because that hasn't really changed much. It's got a bit more expensive, but it hasn't really changed. But shipping into Europe is it's unreliable, and it's not very consistent. Customs are all over the place at the moment. So I know I spoke to some people in Europe the other day through our owners, and they were saying that they are speaking on a higher level. There's lots of things going on to try and renegotiate what's happening to try and make this easier, because it's not just us. Lots of businesses across Europe are all suffering the same problem. Bigger businesses must be pulling their hair out, I should imagine.
I can imagine. You've begun to settle. As we talked about in the beginning, the models are beginning to flow. I'm seeing models kind of lined up. That's pretty exciting. And you have 2 guys back in Bath. Is that where they are? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they're in a little village called Colford, which is about, I don't know, it's probably about 10, 15 miles away from Bath. Mm-hmm. And they both, Darren lives fairly nearby to their, near us to come in from Bath, but it's fairly close for both of them, and it works.
So describe the process. Darren's working on molds, and I think he said there's some assembly and some spraying, but how does a model get made? They start?
Yeah, so obviously they can't do everything there. It's not all self-contained anymore. So Darren's doing all the pattern work, and Neil's doing all the moulding and casting work. It's kind of like because there's just 2 of them now, they just get on and they have to just get in and do it all themselves. So, they'll cast it. Darren does a bit of casting when he needs to. They'll get the cars prepared, ready for paint. The cars are then shipped down to SMTS, where we spray them here. And then those cars are then taken back up to Colford, and then Darren and Neil build them all. So Brooklyn models will still be, patterns will still be done. They'll still be built and assembled by Brooklyn staff. It's just the painting that we need to do here, but they've got ability to spray small bits and pieces when they need to, but they haven't got a proper full-size spray booth, which we've got. Yeah,
I'll tell you, one of the things that I get really excited about is Darren just seems to be getting better and better.
He loves it. He does love it, and it's strange because he's not a car guy in that traditional sense. He's not really a model maker. He trains as a jeweler, so his skills are there, and but he really loves working with the material, and some of the cars is I hope everybody saw the hot rod that we did, that he did. He's been working on it for probably for over a year now, and that's going to come out later this year. But the work that's gone into that, building the engine and all the little belts at the front, it looks spectacular, and that's going to be really nice. That's going to come out at some point in 2024, I hope.
I'll tell you something. We don't need Darren to be a car guy. We need him to be a jeweler.
I'm teaching him. We're getting there. We are getting him more excited about guy. He's obviously he knows all the Brooklyn range, but he's never really been. That's not where his interests have lied. But he's starting to get there. So, but his pattern making skills are undeniable. Really, really.
He's putting out some of the best work I've seen in white metal, and I've seen them all.
Yeah, and he loves working in brass as well, which is good because a lot of pattern makers we use nowadays want to use other materials, but he still loves working in brass. So,
fantastic. Can you tell us what models are in line? You don't have to give away any secrets, but what's
no.
coming.
Well, I think we've said a bit. So we've got, what have we got? So we've got the car they're working on presently is the Brooklyn Collectors Club car, which is the Plymouth Belvedere. That's been worked on. It's not far off being finished actually, so that's getting there. We've got a new car from Mr. Bulbury for the MB Centre, so that's the 1932 Cadillac 355B, which is one of the Vatican cars that he's got. Surprisingly, it's not black; it's actually red and blue, which is unusual. I think it's the only car there that's not black, so that's quite an unusual car. And then Darren's currently working on the Cadillac V16, which Mr. Bulbury's got in America. 33 car, I think that one is. And then we've got.
Let me ask you a question about that Cadillac V16 because I've seen the one at the NB Center. Beautiful car. It's just amazing, but it's a survivor, and so it's not perfect.
No,
yeah. Yeah. Will you replicate that car, or will you give us a perfect model?
It'll be exactly the same specifications. I hadn't even thought about that, really, to tell you the truth. I know it is practically is pretty much unrestored. I think, and the interior is certainly original, and I think a lot of the bodywork is original. I've not even thought about that, so it'll certainly be the same specification as that car. Perhaps I'll need to get some more closer pictures of it to have a look.
Tell you what I love about that.
Perhaps do a slightly worn interior.
Yeah. Tell you what I love about that car is, we've seen the V16 engine. It's going to make a beautiful set for those people that have the engine.
Yeah, no, they got two guys. That's the engine. That's the engine we modelled it on as well. So it's all perfect to go together with it. Yeah, I know that I know a lot of people are looking forward to that one, and we're getting quite a few pre-sales on that as well. The pre-orders we're doing are working quite well actually. It gives us some idea of how many we actually need to build. So rather than just building too many and being left with stock, we know roughly what's going on. And we've got a few coming up for Landstown, which we haven't done Landstown new releases for a long time. So we've got Mo Brown is doing a Ford Executive, which is going in the Elmo range, and that's going to be followed by the Morris Minor, the 1 millionth Morris Minor, which is I think people have seen that probably on the website already. And we've got some Hillman Avenger Tigers coming as well.
Oh, interesting. I know that not everybody's totally aware of the Morris or even the Executive, but that's the Executive Mark III, I believe.
Mark IV.
Mark IV. That was a performance version of it.
The Executive, it got the bigger engine, but I think it's more just set up. It got a big sunroof fitted. It got big leather seats. It got the whole lot. So it's more of a car for the director or the chairman.
Yeah, and for those that aren't familiar with the Morris Minor, can you tell us a little bit about that?
So we kind of missed it really now, but last year was the 30th anniversary of Landstown. So we did think we ought to do something for that. I know we're coming into it a bit late now, but we decided to try and make one car for that. So we're doing this is the Morris Minor Million, so it's millionth Morris Minor. And when Morris made this car, they decided to make a run of, I think it's I don't know how many cars it was now. It's quite a few they made. But I don't know, I can't tell from there. But they made this car, it's limited edition, and they called it the Minor Million, and it was painted in a lilac colour, and came with a cream and black interior. Yeah. And apparently, according to the Tour de Camp, it's a really strange colour. They got four or five cars lined up, all sprayed in different colours, and had all the executives come over for a big boozy lunch to come and pick the colour they wanted. And they all got so drunk that they just let the chap who was downstairs choose the colour, and this is what we ended up with. So it is an odd colour, but it's unique.
Will there be a placard with the car?
Yeah, no. So in all the advertising at the time, it came with a big sign on the roof saying "my millionth mine" or something. And that'll be a separate piece you can just drop on if you want to. But yeah, we will be including that in the box. But yeah, I do. It should have been out last year, but as you know, things happen. So.
Well, yeah, we talked about transitions, and so I think the Lansdowne guys will be really happy, even if it's delayed a little bit. It's just encouraging to see Brooklyn dipping back into those markets that have been so traditional for them. Are there any more plans for NB Center models? We know about the V16. We know about the other Cadillac. Do you have anything else planned for the NB Center that you can talk
about?
No.
So in theory, we should be going through those and modelling all the cars as we go forward. There's a Nash Woody there that we are meant to be doing, 1942, I think, Nash Woody, which we're meant to be modelling. I'm just waiting for that car to be measured, and that'll probably be the next car. We have looked at some of the cars in the MB collection are slightly newer. So we've got Camaros and some Corvettes, and there's a Chevy Chevelle SS there as well. So we're thinking about doing one of those, because I think a lot of the cars we've done from the collection have been 30s, 40s, and there are a few cars that are more modern. I think it'd be nice to do some of those as well, because some collectors, especially the younger collectors, are looking for those cars from the 60s and 70s.
That's the amazing thing about the 1/1 collector market is the demographic is shifting to younger collectors that are collecting, like you said, cars from the 60s and 70s. And I don't think anybody anticipated that. And that means there's room for models for those.
Oh, definitely. I think if you look at a lot of the releases that are coming out recently, a lot of them are 70s cars, aren't they? And new cars that are coming. So it would be nice. I'd love to do. There is in the MB collection. There is a Buick Grand National.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And I'd love to do that. I really would love to do that. So maybe one day we'll do that.
I love that. So I know that we were there at the NB Center when they rolled out the NB Center collection. They were the highest detailed models we'd seen come out of Brooklyn. I know Darren's been excited about enhancing those. He's been working on little things like the wire surrounds on the windows on the Pontiac, which are accurate and to scale. It's something we hadn't seen before. That instead of the standard photo etch, which is flat and non-dimensional. So the detail work on the NB Center models has really been amazing. Has that had an impact on how you build the standard Brooklyn line?
So the extra detail we put on those, it does come at a cost. And so with the standard MB models, we would try to keep the price lower. Some of the things you learn when we're doing some of these things, we've never tried it before, so we're having to experiment. And some of those things we can move across to the Brooklyn range. Adding lots of detail does add lots of time to build, and adds lots of cost to the actual final model. So I think it's important that we try and separate the two ranges. That the MB Center range is a real high end, every single bit of detail we can get onto it, but it comes at a slightly higher cost. Whereas the Brooklyn Collector's range is still very detailed. I mean, if you look at the Packard Caribbean, I think you'd agree there's a lot of detail in that. But we just try and set that at a slightly lower price point.
Well handled too. One of the other things that I've noticed, in particular over the last 3-4 years or so, and I'm assuming it's going to be from your influence, is the overall finish of all of the models has improved greatly. Is that because of the equipment you have, or because? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's probably to do with, we've got one of the first things we did when we went to Brooklyn was put a proper paint scheme in. So before they would always buy the paint from the paint factors as they needed it, but we've always used paint schemes so we can mix the colours So hopefully in the future the colours will be more consistent rather than having these colour changes you've got each time. And yeah, just different style of spraying, I suppose. It's quite interesting. We've mixed the styles a little bit because the castings are very nice from Brooklin, and they've always done very thin paint on their cars. And sometimes it's been very thin, and sometimes you can see. But we're trying to combine the two styles, and I think I'm hoping you're going to see this on the new Brooklin Collectors Club car, because I was really happy with the paint finish on those. And I think it's a different step up for Brooklin, and it's brought in some of the techniques we use from S&TS, but trying to keep the paint as thin as possible.
I'm looking forward to that one. You know, that one with the two different tops. That I got to imagine that hard top was pretty difficult to cast and get it to fit correctly.
No, I thought it was. I don't think it was actually. I was wondering that, because yeah, you've got to put a tonneau on, you've got a soft top up, and you've got the hard top, and to try and get all that to work. And I think when Darren cast it originally, I think it's not taken much work as I thought it was going to. There's a couple of other surprises on that, which I won't say on the video because it'll give it away. But there's a little surprise on the rest of that car, and that has proven to be probably a mistake because it's been a nightmare. But it's really clever, and Darren's really done some clever work on that, and hopefully people appreciate it.
I just love the idea that there are still new ideas coming. I love the fact that you're entering into an area where you actually have a production schedule. And
yeah, no, that's we'll be lovely is to have 1 year where we don't have to move or make changes. We'll just have one clear year of making cars and get back onto some kind of order again. And things are much better than they were. Sales have picked up a little bit. We've sold the Packard Carabiners, they've done really well, and the Morris Minor's really starting to sell well as well. So after the last couple of years, it's been a bit disappointing. I think we've now got ourselves into a position where it's easier to run the business and things are starting to go in the right direction. I will say that it has been a really hard time, and I'm really sad for all the staff that have had to go. I've worked there for 3 years, and I got to know a lot of these guys, and we were getting on so well. And I was so pleased with the work we did at Poulton, and got it up and running relatively quickly with all new equipment, all ready to go. And the fact that I had to go was quite upsetting, and I really feel sorry for some of the guys who had to move on. Yeah. And I think we were just thanks to them really for all the hard work they did.
Yeah, and we're sorry to see them go, but I'm glad that it's working. I mean that's the best news yet. I know that for a lot longer than most people realize, Brooklin was not really operating at a profit, and actually long before the purchase occurred. So this is just really good news for those of us that are collecting Brooklyns, but we're going to miss the people that we were so familiar with. And I know how difficult that was for you.
I mean, it's a totally different business to where it was a couple of years ago. But it probably, as you say, it probably had to be. It wasn't making money for a very long time. Yeah.
So let's move on to more pleasant things. Thank you for being transparent on that. A couple of things that I want to bring up. The business model has changed a little bit, and from what I hear you saying, most of our purchases are going to be done through pre-orders on the internet site. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we will carry on putting cars onto the website and keep stock in the shop. In the past, where we've held a lot of stock of all the cars, that's going to happen less, just purely because we haven't got the manpower to build that many cars anymore. But we will, I think what we will do in the future is announce cars a lot earlier and put cars up for pre-sale. I'd like to try and get the website so we get to the point where we can do pre-orders and people can leave deposits, and then we can come into the cars later on. At the moment, it's quite a basic system. It's quite crude, but I think we're working on that. But yeah, it'll be a lot of pre-orders, so we know roughly what the interest is, where we are, and that's working really well right now. And it gives us an idea of how many we actually need to build in the end. Although we have underestimated slightly on the Caribbean, which is annoying in one way, but it's quite pleasing in another, I suppose.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, But I know there's still some people waiting on Caribbeans. From our chat before we started the interview, if I understand you correctly as well, the best thing to do is if you don't have your Caribbean yet, we had a waiting list, kind of rudimentary, but it would be to contact you directly. Is that true?
No, if you haven't contacted me already and you want one, please contact me. We've got I did make a few extras from the pre-orders that I had, thinking, there's going to be some people who want it. That they went almost straight away, so that left me without any at all. So I know I've spoken to a few people who definitely want one, who haven't been on the list, haven't got one originally. So we're making a smaller batch to make cars for the ones who ordered originally. So if you haven't heard from me yet and you want to get a PACCAR Caribbean, please get in contact with me. Yeah.
Will those people have their choice between the original issue blue and white and the black one?
Just the blue and white one. So we painted up 20 black ones. They've all gone. We won't do those again, but we will. Yeah, the blue and white car. We're going to make another small batch, and I think there's been a few people who've expressed an interest who weren't on the original list. And I think we're going to do another batch in a slightly different colour as well. All right. I think there's a green and white car. I think it's quite famous on the internet. There's a really nice green and white car. We might well do that one.
Yeah, a great color combination. So I love that. Just to restate, if you don't have the Caribbean and you want one, you're going to make some more, but they need to contact you.
Yes, yeah.
I'll
make sure they're on my list. I've spoken to 3 people, I think, this morning who were on Facebook or who wrote to me directly, and they're on the list now for that. So if you want one, I'll make a few extras obviously as well to try and keep people who are on that original list. But please get in contact with me, so I can make sure you're there.
Great. Yeah, thank you for taking that into consideration. The other thing before we go, I just want to mention you now have an eBay store. Your seller is BM Outlet.
Yes.
I'll put your contact information. I'll put that information up on the screen as well. But how's that doing?
That's done. Yeah, so that's done very well. We've had a lot of stock. So we had a lot of old stock that was lying around, new old stock. Some of it going back years and years. And we, one of the things we haven't got is storage space anymore. We're very tight. And when it all came down to SMTS, there was just stuff everywhere. So, and we've got these big trolleys of cars, and I kept moving these trolleys around and kept damaging the cars every time, bits would fall off or we have to keep moving them. So I thought, right, some of these were ex-display models that were in the old factory. Some were used up for samples and bits and pieces. So I thought we're better off selling this lot rather than them all getting damaged and then they're no good to anybody. And I know that many collectors would want these. So we've sold a lot of cars that were just ex-display models. We've sold a lot of new old stock, and the BM Outlet will carry on with those kind of bits and pieces. There's still quite a few cars on there for sale, and any bits that come up in the future will go straight onto there. We've got some bits that I still want to go. We got a storage unit up in Bath that I still need to go through, which has got all bits and pieces in. Well, I'll add those, not just cars, but drawings and pictures and some quite unique bits from Brooklyn's history, which I'll add later on.
Yeah, there have been some very fascinating things on there, but I also know you have a pretty decent selection of Landstowns. Last time I counted, there were 70.
Yeah, no, they're pretty much all gone actually. We got a few new old stock, but we've probably got about another 80 or so cars still to go. But we've got through a lot of it now, and we're coming towards the end of some of that new old stock.
And I think I remember seeing some Rob Eddy cars.
Yeah, they're not far off. They're almost all gone. But I say I have got some other stuff in storage that I still need to go through, and I know there's some bits and pieces in there. So as we get to it, I'll have a look.
I know I picked up some things. I got one of the military vehicles. My gosh,
yes,
model.
Yeah, no, they were made for an Italian company. It didn't go anywhere, unfortunately, but it was, it's unusual, it's unique. It's not something Brooklyn had ever done before. So, and there was only a few, maybe a dozen made in total.
Very well done. It's a fascinating model. I just shot a short video on it last night. So I'll tell you, Sam, I'm excited. I know that you personally have worked hard to bring all this together. I'm really excited to hear that it's beginning to work. But we suspected that it might. It's just there have been a couple of bumps.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, we're at the stage now where costs can't get any lower. So we're set. We're very strict now on the budget, and we've got a good plan, I think, for releases for this year. And Darren and Neil seem to be getting through the work relatively quickly as well, which is good. So hopefully this year you'll see a lot more coming from Brooklyn.
Well, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're busy. I know sometime real soon we're going to be able to talk about the upcoming 50th anniversary.
Yeah, big year this year, 50 years of Brooklin. I mean, that was, it could be such a shame if Brooklyn hadn't survived for the 50 years. So it's good to see that we are still here and fighting fit. And yeah, there are plans ahead for 50th anniversary. And I think, we perhaps need to have another meeting at some point and we can go through what those plans are.
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate your time, Simon. I'm looking forward to getting my Caribbean, but I'm trying to be patient as well. But I'm really looking forward to these other models that are coming down the pike. It's good to hear that everything's healthy, that things have improved, and that a lot of the difficult time and pain is behind you. Speaking as a collector, representing the collector community, I just want to say thank you. I know this has been difficult, so thank you very much.
We'd just like to say thanks to all the collectors who've been so supportive over the last few years. You've stuck through us, and it's been hard, but it's really great that we get so much good support from everybody.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time, Simon. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Lovely, John. Thank you very much. See you later.